Steve Pechenik, and this is Steve Talks. Hello, I'm Dr. Pechenik, and today we're going to talk Dr. Steve Talks. I want to congratulate President Donald Trump and his entourage, including Secretary of Defense James Mattis, Rex Tillerson, Secretary of State, and all the other military and intelligence operatives who were involved in the peaceful transition between North Korea and South Korea. Of course, very little mention was made of the fact that North Korea, this bellicose, incredibly dangerous country, which was throwing missiles all over the world, and we were ready to go to war, which we weren't, was in fact making overtures to South Korea. So how is this possible? How could a crazy man like Kim Jong-un meet with a very peaceful man named President Moon of South Korea? Well, first of all the psychiatrists and the psychoanalysts and all of the great ex-cathedral comments that came out of the newspaper and elsewhere, the fact that Kim Jong-un was crazy, are wrong. Kim Jong-un is very sane, and if you look at the movie on Netflix about Kim Jong-un done by our CIA, you will show that he is a very sane, rational individual who just plays around with the missile systems so that he doesn't have to be dethroned and delegitimized the way we did with Saddam Hussein, Noriega, and Gaddafi. He understands once we take away those missile systems, he's out of power. Secondly, we had a very effective individual who was the head of the International Olympic Games by the name of Thomas Bach, a German individual who went on his own and visited President Xi, who was helpful, Prime Minister Abe of Japan, who was helpful, and of course Kim Jong-un, who was helpful. But we have to thank Donald Trump, who provided the incredible cover of bellicosity in order to make these peace overtures. Contrary to what most people think, you do not say and state peace overtures in order to make peace. That is antiquated, it's wrong, it's fallacious. One of the things that you learn in the strategy of war, you learn it from Bismarck, you learn it from Nixon, you learn it from Eisenhower and others, is that you come from the extreme right, or you create a lot of distortion and clatter and noise in order to come to the center and make peace overtures. And that is something that most people do not understand historically about our country. So Trump has done a very effective job, which President Moon of South Korea congratulated on him. He said, without Trump, we would not have had this peace overture. Now, North Korea and South Korea are not only ice skating together, they're involved in the Winter Olympics, but they're going to be talking about peace conference. Now, that could be done only because we were able to project our forces under Mattis and have a force structure with the CINCPAC, Command-in-Chief of the Pacific, probably showing over 100,000 troops on multiple submarines, multiple aircraft carriers, multiple destroyers, so that we showed our resolve and the fact that we were willing to do a preemptive strategic attack. Well, if you know anything about history and you know anything about geography, a preemptive military strategic attack is really not feasible because the distance between Seoul and the DMZ, which I've been to, and in fact I've been to North Korea, is a very small distance. It's 30 miles, and that is nothing. We have hundreds of thousands of troops on the DMZ, American troops, and we have hundreds of thousands of South Korean troops. The major problem for us is really to keep the South Korean troops from invading North Korea because they're very, very active and very aggressive. Now, to the point that, people feel that Trump is insane. That's nonsense. You don't make peace and you don't make a peace overture without having a basic strategy and a tactic involved. Of course, that involved many people. I said Rex Tillerson, Secretary of State. Rex Tillerson does not need to fill out the 5,000 or 9,000 positions of Foreign Service officers in the State Department. As it is now, we have over 20,000 people in the State Department, and that's probably 10,000 too many. In a world with virtual diplomacy, we do not need more and more embassies. That does not work. On the other hand, quite frankly, very few people, if anybody, had mentioned the success of Trump's North Korea overture. And the only paper that I read, The only paper that I read was supposedly the fake newspaper of the New York Times, yet they gave an excellent, detailed analysis of how Trump and others had made that overture between Kim Jong-un and President Moon. I want you to remember one thing. Von Clausewitz always said that war is the extension of policy. But more importantly, he said, if you repeat your tactics, the enemy will know exactly what you're doing and will adapt to those tactics. Trump was smart enough to change the tactics and the strategy and create enough flack and distortion and denial that everybody was uncertain. From that uncertainty, we got a peace overture. Thank you and good luck. Hi, this is Dr. Steve Pachenik, and this is Steve Talks.